Hey guys, Dave Lee here with another Blu-ray DVD collection update / haul video. This is the one for the month of August 2021, and as usual, I've had a whole bunch of stuff come in from my pals over at the distribution partners this month, so there's a lot to talk about. This includes the latest wave of imprint titles, wave number 8 from my pals at Viavision, and a great selection of new 4K and 3D exclusives from the great team over at Random Space Media. There's also a very small bundle of stuff that I personally picked up myself over this last month, all of which I've bought online, either imported from Amazon or bought on JB Hi-Fi online, considering we are still in lockdown here in Melbourne with no end in sight and we can't go into stores. But I've had quite a bit of free time to get through some stuff, not really because I'm always working, but let's try and get through all of this as quickly as we can. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so firstly we're going to be taking a look at these titles that have been sent in from my friends over at Random Space Media. These guys are incredible. If you haven't been watching my videos over the last couple of months, Random Space Media are fairly new to the market here in Australia. They've been around for a couple of years, but people really are only just starting to find out about them. They're releasing a lot of really fantastic official studio releases. They work with the studios, most particularly Universal, Sony Pictures, Home Entertainment here in Australia, to bring out a bunch of titles that otherwise wouldn't have got wide releases in Australia. Stuff that might be a little bit more niche or more, collector focused. A lot of the stuff is exclusive to them. You can head over to randomspacemedia.com to purchase some stuff from them. Otherwise, a few of their titles do manage to slip through and you can find them at JB Hi-Fi, but the best port of call for their stuff is always randomspacemedia.com. Head over there and check it out. We're going to be taking a look at some really exciting titles here this month. Firstly, we'll take a look at this one first up, and then we'll get some really exciting stuff. This is a film called French Exit. It stars Michelle Pfeiffer and Lucas Hedges. This is a movie that only received a DVD release here in Australia, didn't receive a wide Blu-ray release. And it's a film that a lot of people are very excited to finally get a Blu-ray release here on the local market. And it's great that Random Space Media are again a great example of a title that normally wouldn't get a wide release, but through their partnership with the studios, they've been able to manage to get it out on Blu-ray. Checked out the movie. Wasn't exactly my kind of thing. I liked it, but I didn't love it. It's a little bit of a rocky movie. Michelle Pfeiffer is absolutely fantastic in it, but it's one of those movies where you feel like starts off one way and then spirals into something completely different towards the end. But I feel like it is one of those kind of acquired taste kind of movies, and there is definitely a big audience for this. If you love Michelle Pfeiffer, if you love this kind of quirky, like kind of black comedy, dramedy kind of thing, I think you will enjoy this one. I liked it, but I just didn't love it as much as I thought I would, judging by everyone's kind of rave reactions to it. The Blu-ray is really great though, crystal clear, fantastic looking, and again, I would recommend this, particularly if you are a fan of the wonderful Michelle Pfeiffer. Now, what we really want to take a look at from Random Space Media, they wanted me to do a decent focus on these titles right here because they're bringing 3D back. 3D has been hanging on by a thread on the global market. It is all but dead here in Australia. Random Space Media has realized that there is a hole in the market, and they are keeping the format alive by its last thread. And these titles here were going absolutely gangbusters. When these were first announced, people were like, oh my gosh, we are finally getting 3D releases of these, or we're actually getting some, again, we'll go through them, some special editions of these. People just absolutely just clamored them all up, and you really should too. If you don't know if you haven't heard about these and you're a big fan of 3D, you want to keep 3D alive, I mean, the more of these things they can move, the more likely they are to do more going forward. First, we'll take a look at this one. It is Jumanji: The Next Level. I believe this is a world first. This is the only place in the world where you can get this film on 3D. Man, it looks amazing. I love these Jumanji movies. I just think they're just so much just dumb fun. The Rock is always great. Kevin Hart, Jack Black, always funny. Karen Gillan is one of my favorites. Really great cast. These are the kinds of big blockbuster movies that are built to kind of be seen in the third dimension. I know it's a bit of a fad, the 3D thing. I know a lot of studios don't really put much attention into the 3D transfers anymore, but these ones are really, really fantastic. Stuff coming out, there's a lot of great action scenes and chase sequences and stuff through the jungle, and stuff really does fly out of the screen. These are movies that are made to, to give you that third dimensional experience. I think it's great. It's a really, really great 3D presentation. So again, if you're a fan of the film, if you're a fan of 3D, I think this is probably one of the better ones on the format, so definitely check this one out. It does have a 2D Blu-ray in there as well for you. Now, I believe they are actually releasing a 3D plus 4K combo pack of both of the Jumanji sequel films, so Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle and Jumanji The Next Level. So if you're more interested in that, definitely look at picking that one up. I'm not sure if that's out yet or if that's coming soon, but it's definitely a thing, and hopefully I'll get to look at that when that does land, because I don't think I have Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle on 3D. I know I have the 4K disc. I don't think I ever picked up the 3D, but I'd love to have it. Now, these two right here are very exciting. These are very exciting. Now, when 4K first hit the market, there was very little in the way of 4K plus 3D combo packs. And it's a really tough thing, especially if you're a collector or someone who really loves these movies. It's a tough thing to pick whether you want the 4K disc or the 3D disc. It shouldn't be the kind of thing where you have to pick which experience you get with the movie, because really, both kinds of presentations are different experiences. You get a lot different that you get from 3D in a 3D presentation than you get in a 4K presentation, but in the 4K presentation, you get something completely different again, and it kind of depends on what kind of mood you're in. And a lot of the time, for example, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, allow me to dip out for 1 second, is a really great example of a movie I had to buy twice because I wanted both experiences of the movie. So I bought the 4K edition of the movie, and I also bought the 3D edition of the movie. Now, 3D obviously gives you a really great, immersive, explosive experience, stuff kind of flying out at you. It really, again, immersive, makes you feel like you're part of the movie. 4K, though, is crystal clear. It's crisp. The colors are explosive, particularly on a movie like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is just so rich in colors. And you really want to watch it both ways. It's such a shame that 3D discs can't also be 4K discs, so you can't have a 4K 3D disc. I think the technology is not there, or the discs aren't large enough or something, but there's some reason they can't do a 4K 3D disc. So it does suck a little bit that you do have to kind of pick, experience you have with the movie. And I think Spider-Verse is definitely one that is worth seeing in both experiences, because again, you get those rich colors in the 4K one, but then this is a movie that is built to be seen in 3D. It's a movie that has so many great, web slinging sequences where there's just, you feel like you're flying through the city, the great action sequences, you feel like you're there, Spider-Man flying out at you through the screens, shooting web at you and all that kind of stuff. This is like one of the greatest 3D movies ever, and it is worth seeing in that format, in that experience, because that's how it was made to be seen. But also there is so much to be said about the 4K HDR experience of the movie, because it's so explosive in the colors, and again, it's hard. It depends on what mood you're in, what kind of experience you want. So it is always great. It's always a pain. It's quite honestly a pain in the ass to have to buy two different versions of the movie, and I hate doing it. I try and do it as little as possible these days, but it's very, very annoying to have to do that when studios could just be doing this. And Random Space Media have realized this and have gone, you know what, we're going to give the consumer the choice to pick them all up, to pick them both up in one fell swoop. Now, the price point on it might be a little bit more expensive than the individual titles, but it is still cheaper than buying them individually. Now, they've also released a double 4K plus 3D pack of Venom. I should say, also has the 2D Blu-ray in there as well. So both of these are 3-disc sets, which is awesome. Venom is an interesting one in that they only ever did release a 4K edition in most places. I think a couple of European countries got the 3D release, but it didn't go wide in the UK, in the USA, or here in Australia. So this is the first time kind of on the Western market, this kind of side of the Western market, that has actually finally got a 3D edition of the movie, and it's bundled with the 4K. which is fantastic. Again, this is a movie that is, I think it might have been shot in 4K, but only received a 2K digital intermediate and then is upscaled for its 4K presentation, but it still looks great. It's really crisp, it's sharp, it's filmic, it looks very like nice and grainy. The film grain is fantastic on it, and it's a lot of really deep, dark shadows that just look gorgeous on 4K, but then the 3D experience of it is great as well. You know, you got Venom lunging at you in the screen, the fight sequences and stuff are just really great. Again, really immersive. So that is a really great experience to have with the movie, and it's great to finally have a copy of that on the market. And now both of these are actually world exclusives. Nowhere else in the world did they bundle, I don't believe, did they bundle the 4K and the 3D of these movies, especially not when we're talking about like UK, US, Australia. So I believe these are world exclusive releases. So if you do want to pick these up, you can pick them up. Now, I think actually Spider-Man Homecoming and Far From Home are also being bundled up in a 4K plus 3D disc set. You can buy that through randomspacemedia.com. I'm not too sure if that's one that they have curated or one that the studio itself has realized, oh shit, look how well these sold, we should do it ourselves. But anyway, you can pick that up through randomspacemedia.com. So go ahead and do that. I love these guys. Random Space, I know you're watching. Thank you so much for sending this stuff through. You guys are awesome. I love your work. You know I love your work. And they've got some very exciting stuff coming soon. So keep a watch on this space. I'll be covering them over, you know, as long as they keep sending me stuff over, I'll be covering it for you. I love it. But thank you guys for keeping 3D alive on a thread. While we're on the studio stuff, let's take a look at a few titles that have been sent in to me from my friends over at Kicks.com.au. Now, it's the last, at the time that I'm uploading this video, it's like the last week you can use the code DAVE15 at checkout. You can get 15% off your entire order over at kicks.com.au. That includes pre-orders, it includes sales stock, it includes absolutely anything, so including any of these brand new releases. DAVE15 to get you 15% off, and at the time of uploading this video, it's the final days on that code, so make sure you go ahead and use it. Okay, so let's take a look at some stuff that they've sent in this month. First up, a few Blu-rays right here. We have got, we'll start with this one right here, Voyagers. This is a brand new film that's just been released on Blu-ray, thanks to Universal Sony Pictures. This one stars Ty Sheridan, Lily Rose Depp, Fionn Whitehead, and Colin Farrell is in there too. I checked this one out over the last weekend. The Blu-ray disc is absolutely gorgeous, really nice colors, as you can see by the cover design. Lots of neon colors, really deep, dark blacks. It's a movie that would have looked really gorgeous on 4K, but didn't get one on, well, in Australia at least. I'm not sure if it is overseas. I haven't really looked into it closely enough. The movie itself is pretty good. I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. I didn't think it was incredibly original. It's one of those movies where you feel like it has a lot to say, it has a lot to preach to you, but it's essentially Lord of the Flies in space. You've got this group of kind of teenagers who are on this spaceship to go to another planet to colonize another planet, but it's going to take a number of generations for them to get to the planet, to actually populate it. So they have these teens on the ship, and they're giving them drugs so that they I guess they lose a bit of their libido and they don't get a little bit, you know, frisky on the ship, all that stuff. The kids realize they're being drugged, they stop taking the drugs, and then all hell breaks loose, essentially. It's Lord of the Flies on a spaceship. It's nothing you haven't seen before, but I thought it was enjoyable. Ty Sheridan, Lily Rose Depp are great. Colin Farrell is always fantastic in everything he's in. I think if you like these kind of sci-fi, kind of, you know, thriller movies, you'll have a good time with it. It's a nice, fun, like Friday night popcorn flick, but don't go into it expecting too much. Next up is The Wrath of Man. This is the latest Guy Ritchie film starring Jason Statham. You know, I love a good Jason Statham film. Again, just stupid, dumb popcorn flicks that you can blast a Friday or a Sunday night away on. Just, you know, brainless fun. This one is great. I'm a big fan of Guy Ritchie as well. Jason Statham plays this really mysterious character who joins this, like, security company that drives the money around in the, you know, transports the money between the banks and wherever else. And he's very mysterious, and they're kind of wondering, why is he here? What's he doing? And then they realize he has this really mysterious set set of skills where he's very handy with a gun and he's very handy with, you know, physical combat. And the movie kind of unravels in this really kind of unconventional way, unconventional storytelling, kind of time shifting and all that. I don't want to give away too much because it's a nice surprise when you go into it. But yeah, you kind of unravel who this person is and why he is where he is, what he's doing. Really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. Again, just a brainless popcorn flick for a Friday or a Sunday night. And the transfer on this is gorgeous. The movie looks great. Again, another one that would look really nice in 4K, but the Blu-ray really does do the job. It's a very filmic movie. The colors, it's not an incredibly colorful movie, but it does look really fantastic. I would recommend checking that one out if you're, you know, a fan of Guy Ritchie, Jason Statham, action films. Next up on Blu-ray, we've got the latest film from DreamWorks, Spirit Untamed. Now this, I don't believe was actually animated by DreamWorks. This was like an outsourced thing because it's based on the Netflix series that they have, Spirit, I can't remember what it's called, but it's a Netflix series. So it's got a smaller budget. The animation isn't as polished as the, you know, the more theatrical release stuff. And it's very much geared towards a much younger audience. The Blu-ray looks gorgeous. It's like stunning, so colorful. The animation isn't great, but it looks nice and smooth, and you know, kids will love it. It's a movie that kids are really gonna love. Now look, I've got all the DreamWorks movies. You guys know I love DreamWorks stuff. I'm actually working my way through watching them all at the moment because I want to do like a ranking video of them at some point. So it was important for me to get this new one on the format, on Blu-ray, to check it out while I'm doing these movies. And look, it's okay. It's pretty saccharine. It's one of those movies that really does have a lot of great morals and all that kind of stuff for the kids to, you know, learn a few things and just have a little bit of fun at people riding horses around. Another animated one has hit 4K and Blu-ray. This is Peter Rabbit 2. Now this one I adored, and which really surprised me because I was not a fan of the first movie. I was not a fan of the first one at all, but there was just something in this one that really grabbed me. It's charming, it's heartfelt. Again, it's another movie that aims itself towards a slightly younger audience. There's, you know, morals and lessons and stuff to pull from it, but it's really cute and charming. I grew up with the character of Peter Rabbit when I was a child, and so he's one of my favorite kind of literary characters. I loved all the Beatrix Potter stories, and so I really love this movie. This is everything that I wanted out of the first movie and more. So if you loved that first one, I think you will really love this. If you didn't love the first one, give this one a shot because it is great. And look, Domhnall Gleeson and Rose Byrne are both fantastic in here. I think they're both great, particularly Rose Byrne. Got a soft spot for her because she's an Aussie. Yeah, look, really enjoyed this movie, and the 4K looks stunning. This is another movie that had a 2K digital intermediate, so it was mastered in 2K, upscaled for the 4K release, but it looks really great. It's not a particularly colourful movie. I mean, it's colourful, but it's not like explosive colours. So the HDR pass doesn't do a huge amount, but the fine detail and everything looks terrific on this, and I would recommend picking it up on 4K. Another 4K of a brand new release movie is A Quiet Place Part 2. Absolutely love this movie. Again, saw this one in cinemas in that very brief window when cinemas were open here in Melbourne before we went back into lockdown. It's another story, we won't get into that now. But yeah, check this one out and absolutely loved it. I love both of these movies. John Krasinski is such a fantastic director and really creates an exhilarating film. It's terrific. Performances in here are great. Emily Blunt is absolutely amazing. Cillian Murphy is in here as well, and the two younger ones in the movie as well, Millicent Simmons and Noah Jupe, are both great too. The first one is one of my favorite kind of horror thriller movies in more recent times, and I think this one kind of outdid it for me, or at least is very equal for me. It is a terrific presentation. This was mastered in 4K. I believe it was shot in 3.5K, but it was mastered in 4K, so the 4K disc is a true 4K presentation. It is crystal clear. The skin tones, the imperfections on skin, you know, the pores, when you get close-ups on hands and stuff like that, it's just absolutely terrific, really crystal clear, and the colors are great too. I wasn't expecting it to be so, again, I'll use that word, explosive when it comes to colors. There's not a lot of colors in it. It's a very dark movie, and the 4K disc really handles those dark tones really well, really great black levels. But the colors, there are these moments where you get these bursts of like yellows and oranges and those kinds of, you know, more kind of pastel-y kind of palettes bursting through, and they look stunning. Highly, highly recommend the 4K of this, and the movie is great. It's got a lot of great bonus features on this one too, including some pretty extensive director's diaries with John Krasinski, where he talks about the making of the movie and all of that, and a little bit of like just kind of behind the scenes of like the sound design, which is great. Again, the sound on this is terrific. It's got the Dolby Atmos track, of course, and then the Blu-ray is the 5.1 track, but sounds great if you've got a good sound system. I mean, this is a very auditory film. It's a movie that relies on the sound to tell the story. Of course, it's a quiet place, so they don't talk very much. But so the sound design of it is very important, and the Dolby Atmos track on this is first class. One last one here from the team over at Kix. They've sent over Ran. This is an Akira Kurosawa film from 1985. This was his last like big epic film. I love Kurosawa's work, and I have never seen this one. I only just got this one in the collection yesterday, so I will update you on my thoughts on it, but I've quickly kind of skimmed through it. I wanted to include it in the recent video, otherwise I'm pushing it off for a month, but it looks stunning by the looks of it. I checked out maybe 10-15 minutes of the movie, and it looks really, really nice. I am a fan of Kurosawa. I love the Seven Samurai, Throne of Blood, Rashomon, movies like that. I just think it just, the typical movies you bring up when you talk about Kurosawa. But this one is, again, his last big epic movie. It is in color. It is, of course, in Japanese as well. That's one thing I should mention. Strangely, the 4K disc, I'm not sure about the Blu-ray, but the 4K disc actually auto-selects English language. It is a Japanese language movie, so make sure to go through there and select the Japanese language, put the subtitles on. If you, like me, like to watch the movies in the original language, because the dubbing is always really annoying. But anyway, this looks stunning. A really beautiful cleanup of the movie. It's a 4K, a new 4K restoration that's been done by Studio Canal in cahoots with a bunch of other kind of restoration firms over in France. And it looks, again, it's a movie that's not incredibly colorful, but the colors really do burst on the screen. But the most important thing about this is just the clarity of it all. It is such a filmic movie. The film grain levels look stunning. It's a fairly soft movie. It's fairly soft looking, so it's not incredibly sharp or, crystal clear. It's a relic of its age. It's based on Shakespeare's King Lear. So if you're familiar with Throne of Blood, which is the Kurosawa take on Macbeth, it's very similar to that. A few of the scenes that I kind of saw as I went through, very similar to it, especially when it's like the big war scenes, the action scenes with the bows and arrows and the horses, and it's just all out epic. Great movie, and look at it. It's a very visual movie too. It's very theatrical. If you're familiar with Kurosawa's work, all of his works are very theatrical and very over the top, very stagey, and it's all just visual. There is a Blu-ray version of this out as well, but the 4K is definitely the way to go for something like this. I cannot wait to watch it all. So thanks again to the team over at kix.com.au for sending over a really great selection of new titles for me right there. Once again, final days to use Dave15 over at kix.com.au. All right, next up, we're going to take a look at a great bunch of titles from my pals over at Umbrella Entertainment. They're doing the Lord's work in getting a lot of really terrific movies out on Blu-ray in Australia for the very first time, particularly a lot of Australian films. First one we're going to take a look at, particularly when it comes to Australian films, is Malcolm. This is the 6th title in the Sunburnt Screens range. This is one of my favourite ranges of theirs, probably my favourite range of theirs, because they're finally getting out some really just terrific Aussie movies that I honestly never thought we were going to see on Blu-ray. Malcolm is one of my favourite Australian movies of all time. This was made late 1980s, like 1986, I think, and it stars Colin Friels, who you can see on the back right here. He's a guy by the name of Malcolm, who loves to make little knickknacks and little model trains and all that kind of stuff. And he is kind of taken advantage of a little bit. He lives a nice little quiet life. He's taken advantage of by this crook who moves into his house, and they kind of get him embroiled in a life of crime. It's like a black comedy, kind of like a black comedy, but it's very, very sweet. It's a very charming movie. Typical Aussie kind of humour and just charm to it. It is one of the greatest Australian movies ever made. Of course, as with all the Umbrella stuff, you have got the reversible cover right there. So the cover it comes with has the annoying certification logo there. So yeah, Malcolm, the transfer on this is amazing. Oh, it's stunning. Like the old DVD master, very washed out, lots of print damage, just didn't look great, but this is terrific. I mean, the 4K master on this is stunning. Again, not a colourful movie, but it's just visually rich. It's the film grain levels are fantastic, the clarity, the kind of clarity you never thought you'd see on these kind of Aussie movies. I adored this so much. If you're collecting the Sunburnt Screens range, you definitely got to get this one. If you're someone who just loves a good Aussie movie and you've been maybe very selective of what ones you want to get, this is a must-have. Take it from me, this is one of my favourite Australian movies of all time. So happy to finally get this one. It's also loaded with a bunch of special features as well. Interviews, a brand new interview with David Parker, who I believe was the producer of the film. Really interesting interview where he kind of talks about the inception of the movie and how they got it made and all that kind of stuff. There's also an archival interview with both Parker and Nadia Tass, who was a producer and the director of the movie. Both very interesting to listen to if you want to know a little bit of the background of the movie. And there's a bunch of like archival DVD bonus features on there as well. I just love how Umbrella really load these discs with bonus features and, you know, give you the value for the money. Next month, they're releasing The Big Steal. Man, another favourite of mine. I've been waiting for so long to get on Blu-ray. It's got a very young Ben Mendelsohn in it. They're also releasing one called The Overlanders, which is one of the first kind of big budget Australian movies to be made in like the 1940s. Very excited to check that one out. It looks like they're doing like 2 a month now, because over the next few months they've announced like 2 a month, so I'm excited. It's a line that's going to be rapidly expanding. Umbrella, if you're listening, I know I've been hammering this at you guys. Lantana. I need Lantana on Blu-ray, please. It's my favourite Australian movie of all time. Make it happen, please, Umbrella. I plead. Lantana. Also Crocodile Dundee. Please. Okay, we're going to take a look at another Australian movie right here. It's called Nightmares. This one is part of their Ozploitation Classics range. It's number 6 as well. Oh yeah, these started like at the same time. It is a slasher, kind of risque, kind of slasher exploitation flick. And I enjoyed it a lot more than I kind of expected. It's a B-grade movie. The director, John Lamond, made a lot of really trashy kind of exploitation movies, and he relished in the fact that his movies were really trashy, and he tried to make them as trashy as he could, but they're so much fun. They're movies that he made for audiences to just enjoy and just have a lot of fun with. So of course, as an exploitation movie, there's over-the-top violence, there's sexuality, there's nudity, there's all that kind of stuff, like dialed up to 100. And the director, as I was going to say, he says in the special features on here that, you know, he specifically wanted to make a movie that was essentially like a rip-off of Halloween and Psycho. The soundtrack very much sounds like Psycho. The movie is very much just like a slasher movie, like a serial killer on the loose, killing a bunch of people for one reason or another. It's set in in the backdrop of like this stage play that's being staged, and kind of a disgruntled, I won't spoil too much, but this disgruntled person ends up kind of killing a bunch of people that are involved in the stage play. Again, this is another one that has a really fantastic design right here. So it's not one that has a reversible cover, but it does have, you know, some really nice artwork. I got to be careful about showing the interior of it, because it is a little bit full on right there, and YouTube might block my video for going against terms and services. But yeah, that is a really, really, really terrific movie. Well, not a terrific movie, but I had a lot of fun with it, and it looks gorgeous. There's great special features on here too. I love the bonus features that are included on the Ozploitation Classics. There's an audio commentary with John Lamond, which I listened to a little bit of it, and he's so much fun to listen to. There's a great little interview with him that was recorded a number of years ago, where he kind of talks about the movie and kind of more about his career in general. And there's also like a very extended kind of maybe like 10, 15, 20 minute chunk of an interview of him that was recorded for the Not Quite Hollywood documentary. What I love about Umbrella is with all these Ozploitation movies, they include the extended interview with the people that are involved in the movie, talking about the movie from that documentary. I think it's terrific. And then you've got just like trailers and poster gallery, TV spots, all that kind of stuff. Again, Umbrella's transfer on this, visual audio, is great. It's a brand new 4K master of the movie. And again, these are movies that you just never thought would ever get that kind of treatment. It looks beautiful. I mean, it's a lower budget movie, so it's not, again, explosively colourful. It's not incredibly sharp or crisp or clear, but it's very filmic, and just the cleanup job on it is terrific. We got another Aussie movie here from Umbrella. It's called Relic. This is a recent one. maybe a couple of years old. I believe this went straight to Stan here in Australia. It did like the circuit of the film festivals, and then it was picked up by Stan, a local streaming service here, for local distribution. And now it's finally come out on Blu-ray, thanks to the team over at Umbrella. I loved it so much. Really great Australian kind of, it's kind of a horror thriller, more of a kind of thriller, kind of psychological thriller kind of movie, where it focuses on this older woman who is struggling with Alzheimer's, and the movie is like a visual and thematic kind of exploration of Alzheimer's or memory loss or kind of memory issues, and kind of how it affects her and her family. Emily Mortimer, British actress, is in here, and of course Robin Nevin plays the main character right there, and Bella Heathcote as well, a fantastic Australian actress. It's just it's a really touching, really beautiful kind of thing. I love these horror thriller movies that really have that kind of heart to them as well. They really kind of make you think, and it's just really great. Again, it's a really beautiful visual odyssey, I guess, if you want to call it something like that. But it's a really good movie. I really, really enjoyed it. The ending is a bit strange. The ending is a little bit weird. But I think I get what they were trying to do there, and it was a little bit weird. But I enjoyed the movie overall. Again, the visual presentation of it is beautiful as well. Not a colourful movie at all. There's very little colours in this at all. It's very dark, muted colour palette. But again, it's another one that looks really beautiful. Sharp, crystal clear, all of that. There's some special features on here, but not a whole lot. There's interviews with the key people involved in the movie, and then there's like this time-lapse thing. They filmed like a time-lapse as they were filming. It was a little bit boring, but it's kind of interesting to kind of see that kind of thing. And then you've got you've got a short film on there as well by the director Natalie Erica James called Creswick, which I believe she made before Relic, I think. So that's on there as well if you wanted to check that one out too. We've got a couple of older movies here as well, not particularly Australian, or definitely not Australian movies here. We'll take a look at this one right here. It's The Wild One with Marlon Brando. I mean, what is left to say about this movie? It's a seminal classic in Hollywood cinema. It's essentially the movie that put Marlon Brando on the map. I love this movie. I've watched it multiple times in my life. I actually own the Indicator edition of this that came out in the UK a little while ago. I know a lot of people don't like to import those, so it's great that this is finally out on the local market. It's exactly the same transfer that is used on the Indicator disc, so don't you worry about that. This looks beautiful. It's really gorgeously filmic, and the cleanup job on it is fantastic. Great black and white movie, and not all of the special features that were on the Indicator list. I mean, look at all those on there compared to what is on the Umbrella disc. But the most important stuff was included on this one, which includes an introduction to the film. It's got a featurette on the behind the scenes of the movie, a really great kind of in-depth featurette on Marlon Brando as an icon, why he was such an icon of cinema, and a featurette on Stanley Kramer, who's one of the producer of the film. I love this movie so much. It feels a little bit dated now. I feel like it gets more and more dated as time goes along. This was a movie that was made in the early 50s, so it's very, if you think of like Happy Days, like that real 1950s kind of, hey, we're so cool, you're not cool. You're not cool for school. You're a square. They go around calling people, yo, you're such a square, man. And you just think, you're a dork. You are such a dork in today's standards. But at the time, this was cool. This was peak cool. And Brando is still just such a force to be reckoned with. You watch his performance and he's just so engaging. His performance in this, I think this is his greatest, next to maybe A Streetcar Named Desire. This is like Brando's greatest performance. In his early career, he's really doing he's given his all, given a great performance, and he is amazing in this movie. It's this movie about this biker gang that rolls into this small American town and just essentially causes havoc all over the place. Really great movie, and it really dives into the kind of the socio-political kind of landscape of 1950s America. It's a very Central Americana kind of movie. If you like that kind of stuff, definitely recommend it. But again, it's not a movie that has particularly held up that well. Oh, we've also got this one right here. It's called The Sniper. This is an essential film noir classic. It's a very, very dark film noir. This was made in the early 1950s, so film noirs going into the 1950s kind of changed a bit. Film noirs in the 40s were very much gangsters and cops and robbers and the private eye detective. Film noirs in the 1950s really started focusing on like hard-boiled crime. It was like murderers and, dirty cops and you know, these were the movies that were pushing the boundaries in Hollywood at that time. They were very violent. They were very politically charged. This movie particularly is about this guy who goes around and decides he just wants to go on a killing spree and sniping women. It's essentially like the 1950s version of The Joker, where you've got this guy that goes off the rail and just decides to just cause havoc. It's a very hard film to watch even today. It is it's a very heavy movie, but I think if you're a fan of film noir, if you're a fan of Hollywood, and just kind of that period where they're starting to push the boundaries a little bit, trying to get away with a little bit more, you know, restrictions are getting a little bit looser, it's an important movie to kind of take a look at. There's an introduction on this by Martin Scorsese. That kind of gives you an idea of the caliber of the movie. For Scorsese to come and do like a little introduction to be like, this is the importance of the movie. There's an audio commentary on there as well and a theatrical trailer. But it's a really good movie. Definitely check that one out. I really, really loved it. I'm such a huge fan of film noirs. Now, this has also been released over in the UK as part of one of Indicator's for one of their film noir box sets. There you go. The Sniper. Definitely pick that one up. It looks gorgeous. Again, filmic. The print cleanup on it is fantastic. Very, very little print damage to it. And it does use, again, the same transfer that was used on that Indicator disc. I own that box set and I was able to compare them and they look essentially identical. So definitely get on that one. We've got another double feature from Umbrella. I have to tell you, I am absolutely loving your double features at the moment. I literally, I watch these as a double feature. Every time they release one, they did a Vincent Price one. They're doing a Humphrey Bogart one. You guys rock. Humphrey Bogart's my favourite actor of all time. His movies are very, very lacking on Blu-ray outside of the Warner Brothers stuff like Casablanca, The Maltese Falcon, To Have and Have Not, The Big Sleep, etc., etc., etc. They're releasing Tokyo Joe, The Harder They Fall, something out, I can't remember what the other one was, but Umbrella, if you have as many Bogart movies you have, just put them out there, just get them out there because it's so good. So anyway, I love these double features and I make sure to put a Sunday morning aside. I put my mornings aside to get through all these movies. That's how I do get through all these movies in a month. I watch at least one every morning, but on a Sunday morning I have enough time to put aside and I go through one of these double features. The great thing is they're usually like 80-minute movies, as you'll see on the bottom. These two right here is 80 and 81 minutes. It's just like 160 minutes, you know, 2.5, 3 hours. You can sit there and watch like a double feature. And this one right here is a double feature it's a sci-fi double feature volume 1. It includes both Tarantula and The Incredible Shrinking Man, which, by the way, I literally just imported from the UK from Arrow. It's one that I've been wanting to get from Arrow for a while. Every time they do a sale, it's sold out, and then I finally got my hands on it, and then literally the day after I placed the order, I found out Umbrella was releasing it. So anyway, I do have a couple of copies of that now, but it doesn't matter because these are both so much fun. Incredible Shrinking Man is great, and again, it's that same transfer that's used on the Arrow disc, I'm pretty sure. It looked almost identical. Such a fun movie. This guy, he gets like this radiation poisoning and starts shrinking and doesn't stop. He becomes very, very, very small. It's a great, both of these movies are essentially just great 1950s, mid-1950s movies where at this era they were playing around with a lot of special effects and stuff, kind of practical effects on cinema, whether that be like, you know, scale models or just kind of how they were able to manipulate film to create effects, all that kind of stuff. Incredible Shrinking Man was a very pivotal moment when it comes to scale modeling and, you know, depth perception. But I always think it's important to go ahead and check out some of these early films to see how it was done and see how they were breaking ground back then. It looks very dated by today's standards, of course, but for the time it's amazing, and it's still a movie that does hold up. It doesn't matter how primitive these effects are, they still look great. Practical effects, I think if you can do a practical effect and get away with it as well as you could with CGI, do a practical effect. A lot of movies are going back to practical now, which is great. Anyway, Incredible Shrinking Man is a really great example of that. Fantastic movie, looks gorgeous here, very filmic, beautiful movie. Loved it, had a lot of fun with it. Also Tarantula, another one where they're playing around with special effects. This big, essentially massive spider tarantula comes and invades this town, kills a bunch of people, causes havoc, wrecks buildings. Your typical kind of creature feature from the 1950s that you would see in a double feature, like a B movie that you would see in a double feature if you went to the cinema back in the 1950s. Again, looks great on Blu-ray too. I'm such a huge fan of these sci-fi special effects movies. Really nothing in the way of special features on here. It's just essentially like a theatrical trailer and like trailer reel for these kinds of things. But yeah, these are, I should say, 1-disc features. The movies are so small they can put them on a disc without any detriment to the transfer itself or the master of the film itself. Definitely recommend picking this one up. I had a blast with this. Again, I love your double features. Keep them rolling because it makes my Sunday mornings very, very fun. And I'm looking forward to the volume 2 because that's volume 1. There you go. All right, next up we've got this one right here. It's called Just a Gigolo. It stars David Bowie in the lead role right there. I'm not a huge fan of David Bowie, but I wanted to check this one out because it's also got Marlene Dietrich in it, who this was her final role. He has described this as his 35 Elvis movies rolled into one, so naturally it's not a great movie. It's not great, but I feel like if you are a David Bowie fan, it's something that you do want to check out. And me particularly, as someone who does love the work of Marlene Dietrich, I wanted to see what was her final role. She's not in it a lot. He essentially returns home from World War I to Berlin, and he wants to find work, but he finds that work has dried out, and he becomes a gigolo. Dietrich is the madame who runs the sort of underground kind of institution that he ends up working for. And look, it's okay. It just wasn't particularly my kind of thing. But the transfer on it's great. It looks really good. Again, not a colourful movie at all. It does look very washed out. There is actually quite a bit of print damage on it. Not a lot, but every now and then there's a bit of print damage on it. But it has been restored kind of, I guess, to the best it can. I understand why some movies I don't throw heaps of money into the restoration for, they can let a few things slide. But it's a decent movie. It's a relic of the time. It was made in the late 1970s, and it's definitely worth taking a look at. And it's good that Umbrella has released it here on the local market. Not along the way special features on this one. There's kind of like a little making of featurette on there, and audio commentary and a trailer too. So there you go, Just a Gigolo. And finally from Umbrella is this one right here. It's called Alphaville. This is part of their World Classics range. I don't know if they released too many under this range on Blu-ray. I know there's quite a few DVDs with it. But they are starting a new foreign cinema. I think it's called Foreign Film Line, that they're starting in a couple of months' time. The first film will be Ida, which is a French film. I haven't seen it yet. I'm really excited to see that. But so it looks like this is probably going to be the last title in their World Classics line. I'm just assuming that. I could be wrong. But there you go. This one is a Jean-Luc Godard film. A French movie, of course. Godard did some really terrific French movies, of course. À bout de souffle, Breathless. Really great example of his work. I really love that movie. But this one right here, Alphaville, is one that I'd never seen. It's like this really weird kind of avant-garde sci-fi movie. He plays this American journalist who travels to this kind of intergalactic kind of community on another planet. Actually took a little while for me to click that this was set like in the future and it was a sci-fi, and because it's supposed to be like this big grand vision of the future, but it just looked like 1960s Paris, essentially. They didn't do a lot to make it look like a sci-fi or look like a kind of a futuristic kind of city. I think maybe that was the kind of thing. These French avant-garde movies, they never really went out of their way to do a lot. It was always just about breaking the boundaries. I feel like that's the kind of thing they tried to do with this movie. But anyway, so he kind of goes to investigate this city where there's like this big mind control program happening. A really interesting movie. These French avant-garde movies are very strange. They are an acquired taste. Once you've seen a few of them, you can kind of get your head around them a little bit. I wouldn't recommend this one as like a view for a first-timer because it is very strange. It's a bit warped. I was a bit confused throughout it. And again, I don't think it's Godard's best work. Check out something like, again, Breathless before you jump into something like this. But I did enjoy it. I thought it was a bit of fun. And again, really no special features on this one. There's an interview with Anna Karina, who is the lead actress in the movie. And that's really it. And then it's got a trailer on there too. But the transfer on this is stunning as well. It's another Studio Canal one. So you know that a lot of really great effort has gone into making that look as beautiful as possible. Again, very filmic. It's black and white cinematography is stunning, and really nothing in the way of print damage on that one too. I was very impressed by how this looked. I probably will revisit this again at some point. Now, it's onto the imprint titles from Viavision, of course, is their really great special boutique label. You guys know what this is. They've been around for over a year now. They've been doing these. We are now up to this wave here takes us up to number 60. There you go, right there, number 60. They've already announced like the next 3 waves. They are really pumping these out at the moment, which is like so many of them. Like It's at the point now where there's so many coming out every single month. I've had a few people write in and saying that they're struggling to keep up. It's getting very expensive. First up, we'll take a look at these two great box sets that they have just released this month. We've got the Hammer Horror Collection, which includes 4 gothic horror films, and we have the Silver Screams Cinema Collection, which includes 6 classic like 1940s, 1950s, more studio horror movies. Bela Lugosi stars in one of them, and yeah, pretty great little box sets right here. We'll take a look at the Hammer Horror set. As you can see, really, really beautiful design on the box set right there. I think it's just stunning. The amount of work that they put into the designs here, I just think are just first class. As I said, you have got 4 movies in here, which take us from number 50 to 53. First up is Countess Dracula. This is about an elderly woman in the 17th century who is a countess. She lives in this large castle estate, and she manages to maintain a youthful appearance by bathing in the blood of youthful women that she's basically murdered and slaughtered, and people start wondering, where are all these women going, and why have you been so young for so long, and then investigate. Lots of bloodshed, all that kind of stuff. We've got Hands of the Ripper, which is kind of like a tale of Jack the Ripper. It opens up with Jack the Ripper having committed his last murder, and then it flashes into the future, which is like 1970s Britain. 1971 that was made, and focusing on his daughter, who has now picked up the kind of murderous gene that her father had, and then she goes on this murder spree and ends up killing a bunch of people as well. Next up, we have Twins of Evil. These 2 orphans are sent to live with their uncle, who kind of leads like this cult, who is trying to get rid of all the vampires that are around. You know, it's kind of like the Salem witch trial thing, but there's apparently vampires around, and they're trying to kill off all the vampires. And the castle, the estate, is kind of a little bit haunted. And one of the twins, even though they are identical, one of them manages to fall under the spell of the vampire, and you're kind of trying to figure out which one it is that is becoming the vampire. And finally, we've got Vampire Circus. This one is about this town in mid-century Europe during the plague, in quarantine. Seems very apt right now. But the borders of this quarantine town are broken in by this traveling circus who come in, and everyone's happy the circus is here. They're going to give us some happiness, you know, take us away from thinking about the plague all the time. But this circus ends up being maybe a little bit more sinister than they look on the outset. It's a pretty freaky looking circus, to be honest. But anyway, kids start to go missing, people start to get murdered, all this weird stuff, and everyone starts to think, well, maybe it was this circus that's rolled into town. Okay, so let me just kind of speak in generalities about these movies right here. These are all movies made, of course, by Hammer Horror. They were this really great, very, very popular independent production house in the UK who started making horror films kind of in the late 1950s, riding on the back of the popularity of the horror films coming out of America at the time, particularly movies made by Universal Pictures, you know, with the Dracula, the Wolfman, the Mummy, the Invisible Man. Hammer decided to cash in on a little bit and started making their own movies with essentially these same characters. You know, you've got Dracula movies with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, all these really great English thespians that were doing really great work there. And their earlier movies are great. I love them, or what I have seen of them. Towards kind of the 1960s, going into the 1970s, the formula had worn off a little bit. Audiences were kind of not as receptive as they were to these horror movies anymore. They decided to mix up their formula a little bit and really trying to start pushing the boundaries. You're coming out of Flower Power 1960s, 70s UK, where boundaries are being pushed everywhere in real life, in the socio-political landscape, and also on, you know, in media, whether that be music or movies. The censorship laws are loosening a little bit, so Hammer starts to really start pushing the boundaries. Their violence goes through the roof. Incredible gore they start bringing to the movies when you talk about sexuality and stuff. Lots of nudity and all that kind of stuff. They essentially became exploitation horror films, and they pushed the boundaries in whatever angles, whatever areas they could, and their movies really changed. They became very popular again, but they were like these B-movie sort of independent movies. Now, I'm not really a huge fan of this kind of era of the company. This is the first time I've really delved into these kinds of movies from Hammer. I guess maybe this is what they're probably most known now for, or maybe most famous for, is this kind of era of movies. But I really particularly like those earlier ones, the Dracula ones, again with Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, all that. I wasn't a huge fan of all of these, but if you're a huge fan of horror, I think you will love them, especially if you love kind of like the B-grade, slasher, gore, exploitation kind of horror. I think you will really, really, really enjoy these. And the transfers on them are great. Brand new transfers, of course, that have been done for all of these. Again, none of them are very particularly colourful movies, and quite a few of them, I think they all look very visually similar. Quite a few of them do have like a fair bit of print damage, scratches, hairs, just kind of general imperfections that you can spot from time to time. They're not incredibly crisp movies either. They're very soft, obviously shot with lower budget lenses and stuff like that, and they don't look incredible, they don't look amazing, but they have cleaned up very well compared to how they would have looked on, I guess, DVD. So really beautiful transfers of these movies right here, and if you are a fan of them, you will be very, very, very pleased with those right there. A whole bunch of bonus features on there, you can see written right there. Each movie has documentaries, featurettes on the behind the scenes, new interviews, and audio commentaries. A couple of them have like Super 8 versions of the movie, so they've haven't remastered, but they've retransferred the original like Super 8 cut down versions of the movies that you would have had for home media viewing back in the 1970s or the 1980s. And also on here, we've got this documentary called Flesh and Blood, The Hammer Heritage of Horror. It's a feature-length documentary about the history of Hammer horror. And I believe the original version's like an hour and 40 minutes, but this is the director's cut, which adds an additional 40 minutes onto it. So it's a bit over 2 hours long. It's a very, very extensive documentary into the history of Hammer. So if you're interested in that, definitely dive into it. All of these have great bonus. Most of the bonus that are included on here are very, very in-depth kind of documentaries, whether it be on the film or on the kind of little areas of the history of the studio. But again, this is a really great little box set, and if you're a fan of Hammer horror, you're a fan of horror at all, I think that this is definitely one that you want to pick up. Again, if you're picking up some of these imprint titles, or even if you're not, it's a great way to. They can go there. It's a great way to collect some of these Hammer films, which have been very lacking on the Australian Blu-ray market. There's been a couple of box sets over the years, but really not much has been offered. Now we'll take a look at this one right here, which is the Silver Screams. This one, strangely, has 6 movies. And it only has 3 numbers. I think that's because they're numbering them as double features. A little bit strange to me. I feel like they probably should have given each movie a number, because it kind of misnumbers everything now. But anyway, let's take a look at these. First up is She-Devil. We've got this dying woman who ends up undergoing this kind of experiment with these 2 scientists who inject her with this, the formula of life, as they call it. It does bring her back to life, but it also turns her wickedly evil, and she goes around committing some pretty crazy evil acts. I actually really quite like this one. Unknown Terror is the next one, which is the double feature. Unknown Terror is this millionaire who leads this quest into the jungle to find the missing brother of his wife. But when they get there, they find this weird scientist, mad scientist, who has invented like this moss that has turned into a monster. It's like a moss monster. They go into a cave and there's all these moss monsters. Really not that great. Next up, we've got The Phantom Speaks, which is the spirit of like an executed murderer finds its way into his physician and ends up sending him around to kind of do his evil bidding and going around murdering a bunch of people. We've got The Vampire's Ghost, which features this West African plantation, which is run by a vampire. A bunch of people go there and the vampire becomes very esoterical and very aware of his existence. That's kind of the best I can explain that one. We've got The Return of the Ape Man. This one stars Bela Lugosi, and they unthaw this caveman, very well-preserved caveman, and they decide to do this experimentation on him where they implant a brain into him and try and mind control him. And again, to try and send him around to do their evil bidding and murder a bunch of people. We've got Valley of the Zombies, which features no zombies. Doesn't feature any valleys either. It's a very strange title. A lot of these movies, they were like given shock horror titles and then were just really nothing about it. This one essentially features a madman, a murderer, who is resurrected and this woman kind of, I guess, falls under his spell, becomes enchanted by him. It's kind of weird. Look, none of these movies were particularly great. You know, they're kind of B-grade horror movies from this era, 1940s. Through the late 1950s, I believe these movies were. Don't expect anything as great as like the Universal horror movies, but if you are a fan of these classic horror films, they are a lot of fun. Again, much like the Hammer horror sets, the picture quality is kind of varied across them all. Most of them clean up very well, they're nice, they're filmic, they're fairly clear, but a lot of them do have print damage. There's like scratches and tears and stuff. Some of them more than others. Some of them, in particular She-Devil, actually has a really, really nice transfer, but then there are some occasions in it where there's a lot of print damage to it. But most of them are kind of the same over the board, and they look as good as they ever could, I think. And I always say that, particularly movies like this, you've got like B-grade horror movies, schlock kind of movies. A little bit of that print damage, I feel like, adds maybe a little bit of atmosphere to the movie. Again, for this one, the special features are fairly limited on this one again. Essentially all the movies is pretty much just audio commentaries. There's a couple of like featurettes on there. There's a couple of like radio play things. There's an episode of a TV show called Tales of Tomorrow, which was an adaptation of the She-Devil story. But other than that, it's very, very slim. This is probably the slimmest offering of bonus features on an imprint collection so far. Now, the interesting thing, again, I said that these are numbered by disc as opposed to numbered by the movie. So each double feature gets its own number. There is actually a 7th movie in this set. It's like a hidden movie. I don't know why they did this. I'm really confused. Haven't been able to get an answer about why. But it's a movie called The Lady and the Monster, which I actually think was the best movie out of the whole box set. Go figure. It's the one I thought was the best, and I thought when I found out you get a bonus movie in there, I thought it's probably going to be terrible. It might be in standard def. No, it's a full high def one. It looks great, very little print damage to it, and it was the best movie out of the lot. This madman dies, and then this scientist discovers that he can revive the brain and keep it alive, but then the brain starts like manipulating everybody around it again to do its bidding, very much like all the other movies in here. But I really liked it. I thought it was a really good film, but it's hidden on the box set. It's hidden as the 7th like bonus movie. I don't know why they didn't just, you know, whack the title on there, or maybe hold it off to another box set, or I don't know. I'm really baffled about that decision because, again, I think it was the best movie of the box set, and I feel like it could have had a feature. Not only, you know, the double feature gets a single number, but then there's a 7th movie in there. I don't know. I don't get it. But anyway, otherwise, it's a great box set. I just think some very strange decisions were made there with that. But again, thank you to the incredible team over at Viavision Imprint for sending over these really fantastic box sets from the latest Imprint range. Now, these are the remaining titles of the Wave right here. We've got what is number 58 or 57 through to 60. Now, because this is such a huge wave, Viavision was only able to provide me with these 2 box sets right here, and I did go out and purchase these ones myself, which is okay. You know, they provide me with so much. I'm happy to, you know, I was happy to go out and pick these ones up. We've got this one right here. This is a really fantastic horror thriller movie called Haunted, which stars Kate Beckinsale in her, I believe it was her very first role. She is terrific in this. Early 20s she is, and just a fantastic actress and really great in this movie. The main guy is Aidan Quinn, who you recognise from a lot of television stuff. I really, really loved this. A very predictable, very kind of dated horror thriller movie from the mid-1990s, where I feel like it does feel very dated, especially when it comes to like the special effects and all that. And again, it's a very predictable story. This guy is sent to this manor where there's apparently been like these disturbances, supernatural disturbances, and he goes to investigate, and all these things start to go wrong. It's very predictable where it goes in the end, but I did enjoy the ride there. Again, a lot of great special features on here. I believe I think they're new. I think they're exclusive. I believe, but I could be wrong. But there's basically interviews with cinematographer, with a couple of the actors, with the composer as well. I believe they were done over Zoom. It sounds like they're like, because it's like just audio over the top of clips from the movie. I think during pandemic times. A lot of this stuff is being done over Zoom at the moment. Really love that movie though. I would highly recommend picking that one up if you're going to pick up some from this collection right here. This next one here, The Awakening, starring Charlton Heston. I love Charlton Heston. He is a terrible actor, but his movies are so much fun, and you just know his heart is in it. He's not great, but his heart is in it, and somehow he became a huge star. This movie sees him traveling to Egypt. He's like a archaeologist who unearths this tomb of this mummy. All this horrible stuff starts happening. People involved in the expedition start dying all over the place. And it's kind of like one of those curse, like the curse of King Tutankhamun kind of thing. And then it skips forward maybe like 20 years later, where he is an elderly scholar, and then something draws him back to this case where weird things start to happen again, and they realize the curse has been reopened again for some reason. He has to put an end to it. It's also got Susanna York in there too. I really enjoyed this one. This is from 1980, so kind of towards the later end of Charlton Heston's career, but I really liked it. I thought it was great. It's like not a terrific movie, but I thought it was fun, and he's a lot of fun in that too. And again, I just really love the designs of these packagings right here from the Imprint range. We have got this one right here, The Brotherhood of Satan. I didn't think I'd enjoy this one very much, but I actually really liked it. It's kind of like if you think about the Hammer horror stuff, this is kind of like an American kind of equivalent of it, where it's set on this small town where lots of things are starting to go a bit weird, all these families are starting to die, and all these children are going missing, and it turns out there's this cult which is kidnapping all the kids and using them as vestibules to summon Satan. Again, it sounded like not really the kind of movie that I'd be into, but I quite liked it. I thought it was quite good. A very interesting little horror thriller movie from the early 1970s. It has Strother Martin in it, who's absolutely terrific. Again, not much in the way of special features on this one. It's got like some interviews and stuff, again, which look like they were produced during pandemic times. And the same really is with The Awakening right here as well. These were all taken, I believe, from 2K scans, brand new 2K scans for those two. This one right here is just a 1080p high definition presentation by Studio Canal, so I think that's one that was pre-existing. We've also got The Dead Zone. Now, this is another one. This is only the second title, I think, in the Imprint range, which is a reprint of a movie that has already been available in Australia via Vision release. This is a special edition quite a while ago. And most of the bonus features that are included on here are from that original set, but there are a couple of new things on here again. Essentially just visual essays, audio commentaries, interviews, stuff like that. But this movie is absolutely fantastic. This guy, played by Christopher Walken, he has this accident, and this accident kind of gives him these supernatural powers where he can, the psychic powers where he can see into the future, see into the past, and he kind of uses these to solve crimes and stuff. Based on a Stephen King novel. Really great movie. I watched it actually not that long ago, but I did pop this one in just to have a very brief look at it, and it looks like the remaster on it is new. It looks like it's a different master to the other disc. It actually looks a lot better. It's a lot cleaner, a lot nicer to look at. But I love this movie, and that is definitely one that you will want to pick up if you are collecting some of these. Or if I know this one's highly in demand, as is, strangely, don't know why, The Awakening. I guess it's one of those cult movies that people have been waiting for ages. These are the two that are flying off shelves at the moment. So if there are any that you want to pick up, these two are the ones you want to get straight away. We got so much coming from Imprint over the next few months. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to secure from them, but I will cover these as much as I can going forward. There's like almost a wave every month. I know in September, there's going to be 2 waves. A couple of them have been delayed because of pandemic and I guess pressing and or whatever's going on at the moment. But we're going to get a lot of stuff, but a lot of really good stuff too, and I will continue to cover these as long as I can. We've got a couple of multi-movie collections on DVD right here. This one is the Alan Ladd Collection Volume 3. Of course, I did cover the other 2 Alan Ladd collections that via Vision have done so far. Really love these. Alan Ladd's movies are just so much fun. Did a lot of great adventure movies, war movies, westerns, swashbuckling adventures. He did all the kind of adventure movies that were around, at that time. This one collects a bunch of movies from early 1940s to the early 1950s, including Lucky Jordan, China, and Now Tomorrow, and Saskatchewan. Essentially just, kind of standard Western films, war films. There's a little bit of everything in here. look, I honestly didn't have time to check out all of them, but I'm familiar enough with his work to recommend all of these to you. A couple of them I've seen in the past: China, Saskatchewan, really great movies. So get on that if you love that kind of thing. Here's another great box set right here. It's called Maritime Movie Classics. This is a selection of swashbuckling adventures set on the high seas. You know, you got great performers in here like Yul Brynner, Alec Guinness, Dirk Bogarde. We have got in here The Buccaneer, A Perilous Journey, Sea of Lost Ships, Abandoned Ship, Damn the Defiant. Just, you know, what you would kind of expect from a classic. These are all 1950s to the early 1960s maritime films. Films that are set on the high seas, really great ship adventures. A couple of them, you know, great kind of special effects kind of things. And definitely worth checking out if you're interested in those movies. Look, the transfers on these are great. I mean, it's DVD, but they do look quite good. A lot of DVDs look quite good, and it's particularly these older movies that necessarily may not have had really great transfers or great cleanups or anything. They still look pretty decent for what they are, so I would recommend picking up both of these and taking a look. We've got a couple of classic TV series here on DVD as well. We've got the final collection of the Alfred Hitchcock series. Of course, Viavision has been releasing the Hitchcock anthology series on DVD over the last couple of months. This is the final one. Of course, seasons 1 to 4 of Alfred Hitchcock Presents came out 2 months ago. Then they did the Alfred Hitchcock Hour box set, which was the series that came out after Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and now they've gone back and done the final seasons of Hitchcock Presents. Don't know why they did them out of order, but there you go. Now, this series right here is a really great anthology series, which tells very Hitchcockian kind of horror, thriller, suspense, some drama stories. Hitchcock didn't direct all of the episodes. He did some of them, but he presented all of them. He was the presenter. He'd come out at the beginning of every episode and did like a little skit or something funny. But the great thing about these is they've got a lot of really great performers came along for the ride. And this season in particular includes episodes that star Steve McQueen, William Shatner, Walter Matthau, Joseph Cotton, James Coburn, Dick Van Dyke, Robert Vaughn, Burt Reynolds, Peter Falk, Leslie Nielsen, Robert Redford, Claude Rains, Charles Bronson, so many great actors in there. So definitely worth checking out again if you're a big fan of the Hitchcock movies, and because they do feel very Hitchcock. Obviously, he produced them as well, so they were kind of up to scratch. So I'm very happy. Finally got the complete collection of those. And finally is The Invaders. This is a really great series from the late 1950s. It is about this alien invasion. This guy realizes, he finds out that these aliens have invaded Earth. He sees their spaceship come down, and he tries to convince everyone in this town that the aliens have invaded, but the aliens are now disguising themselves as humans, so it's almost impossible to figure out who they are. No one believes him. He decides to form this group of people to try and solve these mysteries that are happening around the town involving these aliens and all this kind of stuff. It's so much fun. It's like a classic, like if you think of like 1950s B sci-fi movie, kind of like the movies we talked about earlier. It's like that, kind of primitive special effects, and the stories are very similar. It just feels like these mini movies. They all are like 45, 50, 60 minutes each. So it feels like you watch these mini 1950s sci-fi movies. It's so much fun. I haven't watched all of them, but I watched a few of them. It is DVD again, of course, but the very first episode is included in this here. I love the design on these boxes right here. The artwork's so beautiful. But this one right here includes the pilot episode on Blu-ray. So all of it's DVD except for the pilot episode. It's described as a unrestored HD transfer of the pilot, but it actually looks really beautiful. It looks like it has been restored. I don't know. It does have, like, I guess, a bit of print damage and stuff like that, but it looks really nice compared to the rest of the season, which actually doesn't look that great on DVD. This is obviously old masters. I believe this has been released before, probably many years ago, and they're reissuing it. They don't look great. I mean, a lot of these older 50s shows just never pulled up great, were never restored properly. I don't know why the first episode was kind of restored in HD and the rest weren't. I would love to see this whole collection in Blu-ray. I think it'll look nice. But DVD-wise, The episodes, they look okay. I mean, they're watchable, but when you've gone from, you watch that pilot episode in HD and then you go to the next one, there's a huge jump in quality, and I would have loved the whole series to be released on Blu-ray, like they did with Outer Limits recently. All right, with that is everything that has been sent in from my friends over at the distributors. It's been a big month of watching stuff, but I have enjoyed myself, so thanks everybody for sending stuff in, and of course, we'll be covering new titles next month, about a month away from now, but I also found some time to pick up some other stuff, imported some stuff, bought some stuff from JB Hi-Fi. We'll quickly breeze through these. From JB Hi-Fi this month, I picked up Space Jam in 4K. Of course, one of my favorite movies from my childhood. I'm really keen to check out what that one looks like in 4K. Apparently the transfer is really quite nice. I also placed a big order. I've got my Amazon Prime. Every now and then I'll sign up to Prime for one reason or another and then just kind of splurge on some stuff. So I picked up some stuff from the UK. We got Lady Macbeth, which is one of Florence Pugh's earlier films. Really like this, really weird kind of quirky movie. And Florence Pugh is amazing. She's a terrific performer, and she's just amazing in this movie, and it's great. I really loved it. It's weird though. It's one of those movies where you watch it, you don't quite know how you feel about it, but you know you loved it. Particularly interesting to check out if you just want to get a great Florence Pugh performance, because she is amazing. I bought Finding Your Feet. This is a movie that I've sung my praises for quite a while now. It is a great little British rom-com that came out a few years ago, and I just adored it. I had it on DVD. It only was released on DVD here in Australia, but I found it for $5 on Amazon Global Store from the UK. I thought, I have to buy that because I love this movie and I know I will watch it many more times in the future. Definitely check that one out if you can. It's also a 20th Century Fox film, so I believe Disney will probably have rights to that one at some point. So if you want to buy that before you can't buy it ever again, go ahead and pick it up. It's very cheap right now. I also bought this one. I don't know much about it, but it looks great. It's called I Want to Hold Your Hand. It's directed by Robert Zemeckis. It's written by Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale, and it's produced by Steven Spielberg. This is, of course, the team behind Back to the Future, so I was very keen to check this one out. This was made in 1978, so before Back to the Future. It's about this group of teens in America who decide to travel to see the Beatles perform, I think on the Ed Sullivan Show. So very excited to watch that. Of course, a big Beatles fan, and it's got 17 great songs from the Beatles on the soundtrack. So I'm looking forward to checking that one out. I'll watch that over the next few weeks. A couple of documentary series I picked up too. The latest Billy Connolly one, which is called Great American Trail. I believe I watched this when it was on TV. I just love Billy Connolly's stuff, and that was a lot of fun, that series. I had to buy it because I've got all these other stuff. So add that one to the collection right there, and I'm up to date on all this stuff now. And the latest David Attenborough series called Life in Colour. This was a series produced for the BBC, but it wasn't produced by the BBC, I don't think. They developed these new like UV cameras to detect colours in nature that we can't see with the human eye. So I'm so fascinated by this. I'm so excited to check it out. I love my David Attenborough stuff. It's like a 3-part series. It only goes for 2 hours, so you could watch it in one sitting. This just recently played here, I think on Channel 9. I didn't watch it because I was like, I'll buy the Blu-ray when it comes out. It's only coming out on DVD in Australia via Madman, but I had to buy the Blu-ray. You guys know I love David Attenborough, and I was very happy, very pleased to find that it was released in a slipcover right here, which is very cool. So that's the last piece of my Attenborough collection I need right now until the next one comes out. At that, everyone, this video is finally finished. I've got through a whole lot of stuff today. Sorry, it's another very long video. I try to keep these shorter, but it's just not happening with the rate of stuff that's coming out at the moment. But I hope you do enjoy these videos, enjoy seeing what I'm talking about, the newest releases and all that stuff. Thanks again to all my distribution partners here on the channel for sending stuff in. I do really appreciate it. So thank you once again, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm gonna go have a glass of water because my throat feels like fire. See you later, guys. Take it easy. Hey everyone, if you haven't yet, smash that big old subscribe button up on your screen to keep up to date with all my content, and hit that like button down below. Also, don't forget to check me out on social media, and please consider supporting me over on Patreon for as little as $1 a month for exclusive videos, early access content, and to get your name up on the screen. Thanks again for watching.